Hey everyone, have you ever been in one of those situations where a tiny little disagreement just blows up into a huge fight? Well, today we're going to dig into exactly why that happens, and we're going to start with a really great word for it, a kerfuffle.
So, what exactly is a kerfuffle? Let's break it down. It's not a total catastrophe. It's more of a fuss, a commotion. It's that moment when things just get way, way more complicated and loud than they ever needed to be. And that's exactly what we're going to unpack here.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? Sometimes the loudest noise comes from the smallest stumble. Think about that feeling when one tiny mistake, maybe just a simple misunderstanding, somehow spirals out of control into this massive situation. It's such a good reminder that those big overreactions, that loud noise, that's usually where the real story is hiding.
Okay, so how does that happen? How does a tiny stumble create so much noise? Well, it kind of helps if you think about it like a puzzle. All the chaos you see on the surface, that's just the scattered pieces. The real picture, the thing that actually makes sense of it all, is hidden underneath, just waiting to be pieced together.
We've all been here, right? An argument that's supposedly about a messy kitchen is almost never just about the kitchen. A small thing, like dishes in the sink, suddenly becomes the trigger for this much, much bigger fight. And that's because that little issue, it's often just an excuse, a convenient hook to hang a way bigger, hidden frustration on.
In this dynamic, it plays out literally everywhere. So at home, the stated problem is the messy kitchen. But the real problem is something deeper, like feeling unappreciated or totally ignored. And this isn't just about personal stuff. It happens on a huge scale, too. You see a big debate about some political policy, and a lot of the time it's not really about the policy. It's a way to deflect from our own faults to point fingers somewhere else.
Right, so this whole pattern of deflecting and pointing fingers, it actually leads us to a pretty simple childhood game that, believe it or not, explains this human behavior almost perfectly.
Remember this game? The music starts, and you're just frantically trying to pass that potato to anyone else as fast as you can. Well, in an argument, that hot potato, that's blame. And suddenly, the goal isn't to solve the problem anymore. Nope, the goal is just to make absolutely sure you're not the one left holding the blame when the music stops.
And what's so crucial to understand is that this isn't random. It's a really predictable sequence of events. So step 1, a conflict kicks off. Step 2, we instantly feel personally attacked. Step 3, our defense mechanisms just go into overdrive. And what's step 4? We immediately start looking for a scapegoat, anyone or anything else to pass that hot potato of blame onto.
And this whole game of passing the blame around, it's got a name you've probably heard: rug sweeping. And in the moment, it feels like a solution, doesn't it? Phew, the immediate pressure is gone. But the thing is, the problem hasn't actually gone anywhere. It's just been shoved under the rug, waiting for someone to trip over it later. So, you might be thinking, what's the big deal? Well, this whole game of passing responsibility around, it has a real cost. And honestly, it's way more destructive than you might first think. Think about it. When nobody is willing to just hold the potato, when everyone is just passing the buck, it becomes impossible to connect with each other, to actually solve anything. That refusal to take ownership, that is the very essence of chaos. It doesn't build bridges, it just creates more and more confusion and division. But here's the good news, okay? This isn't some unbreakable cycle we're doomed to repeat. The moment we become aware that this game is even being played, we get the power to consciously choose a different response. We can actually decide to be the one who stops the music. And that brings us to a really fundamental question for you to think about. When that chaos breaks out, when things start to spiral, we all have a choice about the role we're going to play. So I want you to ask yourself, who are you in that moment? So let's picture this. You're at a simple picnic, and suddenly the grill flares up. Chaos. It turns out we tend to fall into one of 3 main roles here. First, you've got the problem solver. This is the person who immediately grabs the fire extinguisher. Then you've got the passive observer. You know this person. They just pull out their phone and start filming the drama. And finally, there's the opportunist, who uses all the confusion as a perfect chance to sneak over and steal the last of the good sandwiches. So the solution here isn't some super complex psychological technique. It's just awareness. And why is that so powerful? Because our default instinct is to protect our ego, right? To pass that hot potato as fast as humanly possible. Awareness is the thing that creates a tiny little pause, a space between feeling attacked and reacting. And in that pause, that's where we get to choose our role. instead of just falling back into our old habits.
And really, that's the choice we all face every single time. Because let's be honest, there's always going to be another kerfuffle. Another small fire is going to start somewhere. So the real question isn't if it's going to happen, it's who are you going to be when it does? Are you going to be the one fanning the flames? The one just standing there watching it burn? Or are you going to be the one who steps up and helps put it out? That's something to think about.